apologies, or very last minute. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the May minutes, and are there any edits or questions, things that need to be tweaked before we vote to approve? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the minutes as written?
Move to accept the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All approved? All in favor? Barb? Great.
I'm an aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. So that's all approved. So we will move on to the select board liaison updates, which we were sort of getting a little bit. No. So.
Yeah, so today at 3, there's a planning board and select board joint workshop, which I thought was just going to be on short-term rentals, but they've also included the pier moratorium to discuss what should happen going forward. I think most of the planning board would have already gotten the input from the Conservation Commission in one form or another, but not the select board. So it wouldn't hurt to resend. I'm trying to refresh my memory about, there was the letter. Mm-hmm. You know, the select board before had talked about having a joint group of the Conservation Commission, the Planning Board, and the Select Board look at this a little bit more. I'm not sure if that will happen, or if the idea is that by including it in this little workshop that we're doing, if that's going to be considered sufficient. I suspect it will depend on how much any of the rest of them think that we need to talk about it, or if it's just going to be like, let's get on with it and implement the Harbor Committee's recommendations. Which I really hope not, because the Harbor Committee was really explicit in saying after all of that discussion that they hadn't really felt they had even been asked to look at whether or not to not have any more piers.
Allison, I have a question about that. I read I don't know if it was Camden Herald or Penn Bay Pilot, but the article about this upcoming meeting, and it sounded like the planning board had said that they were thinking it made sense to not allow more piers.
Oh.
Did you see that?
I did not.
That was the impression I got from a conversation I had with an individual on the planning board who remained nameless, but that was the takeaway.
I mean, I still think it'd be good to have representation there. I'm going to try to watch remotely, but it's right when I'm driving around picking up kids from camp, so I wouldn't be comfortable serving as a representative of the Conservation Commission.
Okay, well that's, it sounds like they've thought about it a little bit more, so maybe I won't be.
Is it an open meeting, or is it really supposed to be more of a two committee, or the board and the select board and the planning board?
So there's a public comment section under each agenda item, both the short-term rentals and the pier moratorium, which admittedly caught me off guard a little bit, because it seems like it's just been this moving target of sometimes the workshops are said, oh no, this is just supposed to be select board to talk, and then you know, if you tell people to go, they don't have an opportunity to speak.
Right.
But then I saw on this one, there's like the comment thing, and I was like, oh great, now they're gonna say, oh, nobody came to complain about your comment, so.
Yeah, I did, you know what, and I did get the impression again from the article about it, I think they must have interviewed Jeremy and then maybe the head of the planning board, I'm not sure, that this is meant to be, because there hadn't really been a clear opportunity for public comment before. I mean, they even talked about this in the article, that this is meant to be the opportunity for public comment.
Okay.
Where was the article, Samantha?
I'm trying to find it. Either the Penn Bay Pilot or Camden Herald. I'll let you know when I find it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the other thing that, that we really should be encouraging them to look at is sort of stemming from the research that the Conservation Commission did when we started looking into the pier stuff, was also the associated seawall stuff. Some piers, a lot of them really accelerate that urgency for somebody to put in a seawall. I was actually just talking to somebody in Sherman's Cove who had purchased the property and was sort of told, oh, this is what you do, is you build a seawall. And she was like, oh, if I had known, I probably would have done something differently. So I was saying, oh, that nice sandy beach that you like there, that's kind of from years and years of the natural process of erosion. And so, a lot of people are kind of just making decisions because they're feeling like they're trying to do something quickly that's recommended to them, but really open to other possibilities as well. So hopefully maybe we would encourage that conversation to continue as well. The Maine Monitor has done this series of articles, and they had this guy that flew over the whole coastline of Maine in an airplane and took pictures. And for this article series, and when they asked him during this forum about the article, what was sort of the most striking thing to him, just sort of being out there and taking the pictures, he said he was just kind of shocked at the amount of the coastline that's been armored, and that, you don't really get a sense of that all the time. But there's the section of some of the research that Will did also for the Historic Resources Committee, was like identifying places that could be preserved based on like scenic views. And one of the big things for that is finding it's places where there aren't already man-made structures in the line of sight. And so if you're at the state park, down at any of those access points, you can look either way down the ocean side of the state park and just see nothing but natural Maine coastline. But that could stop, at any point if we have, and I mean, most people that have lived there for any period of time do not wish to build a pier because they see like just how devastating the ocean is on any structures that you build. But it's, sometimes the people that haven't had a chance to see that.
Just a FYI, I was down at Eaton yesterday, and at the end, Proctor Marine is out doing a lot of work in Sherman's Cove, right on the shore. What the heck's going on there, I wonder?
That is most likely
Does anybody know?
a new pier going in.
Yeah.
That was approved.
Okay, approved, okay, yep.
But not necessarily. It's interesting that you should mention Eaton Ave, because the Conservation Commission was really instrumental in establishing the public access points at the harbor.
Mm-hmm.
And Eaton Ave is one of those. And it's been heavily encroached on by private property owners. It wouldn't, as we do some paving, it wouldn't hurt to apply some pressure to the town to, like when we go to pave Eaton Ave, to remind everybody that that's a town road, it's a town public access point, there's a bench down there, there's a sign. We've made a little progress actually marking these things, but.
Yeah, the neighborhood doesn't seem too friendly.
No, not at all. But that's just because people have forgotten that it's public. We have actually a 49.5-foot right-of-way there, which is larger than Harbor Road. It's the same size as Marine Ave.
Are you talking about Eaton's or the one that's further down?
Eaton.
Because where the bench is, and people were, that's being encroached on otherwise.
Oh, well, it's because it's 49.5 feet wide and you can't turn around there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you're
right,
right.
it's somewhat understandable, but.
Oh, no, I mean, like half of their yards are in the town anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So there's that one, but yeah, we could go on and on about that, but there has been talk about trying to pick that up more with the public access right of ways and stuff. And I always forget how involved the Conservation Commission was in all of that. So it'd be good. We should do a little visit or something to all of them.
Well, I will resend the letters to, I don't know if I have Chris Nolan's, but
you can send it to TOC Select Board at camdenmaine.gov, and that'll go to everybody.
TOC Select.
And then we did approve Brian to be an official member, which is really just kind of like housekeeping that we thought we had already done. There were there were other applications in the packet as well, and there are two openings on this committee or commission. We decided to just do Brian for that last meeting and wait until after the election to do the second person. I've been texting back and forth with Samantha Scharf a little bit, who's the one who has had the application in for the longest. She has, originally the meeting time didn't work for her, but I think that was before we were doing the Zoom option. She seems like she would be really good. She has at least one child though, so she, I forget what she was studying, but she has a background that was looking really good. Does anybody know her?
What was her name again?
The Scharf.
Sharp, like sharp knife?
Like with an F, like
SCHARF or F?
two Fs at the end, yep.
Yeah.
But I also said, I asked that we not appoint somebody just yet because we hadn't had a chance to talk about it as a committee at all. So we should probably look at which applications are on hand, and if we knew that anybody else was wanting to apply, now would be the time to do that. So.
Yeah, there was a write-up in the Gazette or I don't know which Penn Bay pilot, and it sounded like the select board wanted to read all the applications, and there was some, the way the article was written could have been incorrect, right? But it seemed there were some concerns about some of the applicants' agendas, and well, I tried to find the article, well, yeah,
I didn't hear that.
I don't want to, well, I tried to find the article again.
For the Conservation Commission?
No, the applicants.
For the Conservation?
Yes, yeah, right.
Really?
And the article could have been wrong, okay?
Oh, I think I said, I might not get reelected and I'd like the opportunity to apply for the Conservation
Wasn't that at all.
Commission.
There was one applicant that had explicitly stated that their goal was to make sure Camden had as many street trees as possible and so forth and so on. And I mean, it was like, I don't want to create unnecessary controversy, but it just didn't make sense to me. I mean, so I think the article was probably incorrect.
Or I just went into blackout mode and didn't.
I don't know.
Are you saying there was a Penn Bay pilot article about the applicants for?
The article on the select board meeting, and in it, there was some discussion about the Conservation Commission, and it said that they were, just what you had said, but it made it sound like there was, the select board wanted to review the applications and try to better understand what the goals and objectives of each applicant were before they would approve subsequent people to the Conservation Commission.
Oh,
I'll try to find it. I couldn't find it last night. I tried to find it for today's meeting, but it was kind of alarming when I read it. It was like, what?
interesting.
It
I'll have to
doesn't-
look at that, because really it was just me rambling about like, well, we could choose, I hate
Yeah.
committee appointments, because you have to choose like not to appoint somebody.
No, this was Tuesday's meeting, but
Oh,
this was the meeting, just,
oh, so we have not talked about the Conservation Commission as a new select board yet. What there was a lengthy and a bit cringeworthy conversation about was the appointments of
Oh, that's what you're talking
town
about.
staff,
Yeah.
like the appointed positions, like the town manager, town attorney, town clerk, all of those, like really formality kind of procedural types of appointments the select board does, which is a confusing thing when you first get on the select board and they ask you to vote on like appointing the town attorney or
Mhm.
something. And I remember I think I voted no when I first got on, because I was like, hold on, I don't have any information here. And they were like, Allison, this is just supposed to be like a formality. And so that same sort of philosophy was magnified significantly for the organizational meeting. And
Are you at liberty to share the applications with us so we know who's applied and
they
see?
were
if
in
we
the
know
packet.
anyone?
They were in the packet for not this most recent select board meeting, but the one right before the election.
Oh, okay, great.
There wasn't anything alarming from that. But I don't know that I've read this thing that,
yeah, well, I mean,
well,
enough said.
yeah, no, and I'm
Beat a dead
intrigued
horse.
though. If you find it, send it.
I'll look again. I tried to find it and I couldn't.
All right. Anything else worth noting other than today's meeting and the select board appointment, Brian formally finally being
That's
added?
good.
Okay. So first, I'd like to say thanks for an awesome tour yesterday.
Yes.
Since we're on the public works update, and it was super informative. I was really overwhelmed by the number of attendees.
70 people showed up to this thing.
Yeah, so I'm referring, of course, to the Maguntacook River Advisory, oh gosh, I can't get all the acronyms together, but
McGonagall River Advisory Committee. Right?
Citizens Committee, there we go.
Yes.
Good job, us. Two heads are better than one.
Speaker series.
And so they have a speaker series and have been inviting a number of different, sort of from away to locals with different skill sets and different information about what's going on the Maguntacook River. And yesterday's was a tour of the dams and led by David. So we were, my husband and I attended, and Barb was there and Allison was there. And so it was great, but yeah, 70 people.
So, yeah, they said, I texted the person, Bina, who works for FB, and I says, we might want to park over here. And she's like, yeah, we're heading towards you right now. She says, 70 people. I said, 72 buses.
Jeez, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've ever gotten 70 people to do anything all at the same time.
That's,
No, I mean, honestly, you usually don't see that many people.
A lot of curiosity, a lot of access to places you can't get to, really, hopefully trying to better understand what's happening or what isn't happening, whatever, but it was good.
There was a lot to jam into 2 hours, too.
It was actually almost too much to try to jam. It was almost like we could have done it as a two-part series, but.
So they asked me that, and I was like, let's just get it over.
No, yeah.
It was kind of good that because some people will be like, I'm only interested in the Seabright Dam, so I'm gonna go to that one. But it was kind of good that it's like, no, you're getting on the bus, you're gonna go see everything.
I went to 4 dams, and I went over the operation and details of all 4 dams.
wow.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It is.
It's a part of what you don't usually see,
Right.
Along the river.
Then I'm at the Seabright Dam, and I'm like trying to keep an eye on this, and there's the building where the hydropower stuff was.
Yeah, I know.
And then I go around the corner to kind of talk to the other people, and I leave that area, and then I'm like, I come back to the building to close it up, and I'm like, all right, and I'm waiting for, they said, someone's down there, and I go, oh, who could that be?
I was told that it was okay to go down there.
I'm not
that
saying
other
anything
people were
about,
doing
you
it.
weren't told not to, I'm just saying, it was just,
Tom Hedgeford was like, okay.
she had climbed down into where the turbines were.
Oh, what I don't understand.
Only to the
Yeah.
first level down, though. I still need to go back and really document it. I've never been in there before in all my time.
I don't understand why people aren't sliding down that.
Oh, that's good.
People do every so often. It's really not probably any more dangerous than the toboggan chute.
It just looks like.
The Seabright Dam?
What?
Oh,
Seabright
goodness.
Dam?
I know, it's real, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to be
It
anywhere near
really
the
seems like
dam.
it would wear your bottom off,
Yeah,
because it's
right.
pretty rough.
It's in kayaks that people do it.
Oh, I thought you meant like sit on it, slide.
Well, I
down.
know somebody who went down here in the harbor on 2 people on bicycles. They went down.
Oh, really? Oh,
Down
right
what?
into the water, on top of
They're
the
in the
sluice way?
water. Yeah, they're going
Yeah, I
down.
can see them doing
On the
that.
Montgomery Dam? On purpose?
You'd ruin
Oh, yeah.
your bike.
It was a while ago, and they were pretty young.
How's the tree planting or anything to wrap up in terms of the tour? Were there outcomes or specific questions or concerns that were from the tour?
dam
From the tour, yeah. Were there?
No, I mean, it actually diversified into other areas at the dam, the Montgomery Dam. They started asking about I&I and the sewer system, and then I went into kind of what we were doing on Pearl Street, and then we went into stormwater infiltration. I talked about that. I talked about, that was pretty much it. That wasn't really dam related. That's pretty much it. The tree part, you see, you kind of threw trees in there too. Is that on purpose?
We'll move on to the trees next. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that was more.
So trees, we've been putting some trees in. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yes.
I think it's hard to throw a cat anywhere right now and not see a tree.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Did you see the row all the way down?
By Hannaford's?
By
So-
Hannaford?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it looks so good. It looks great.
It looks
does.
really
Do you
good.
think do you know what I ended up, I had to use a little bit of my own, I had to pick 2 trees, right?
Yes,
Or
we
some
saw.
trees.
Yep.
And I ended up going basswood, red maple, basswood, red maple, basswood, red maple.
I'm good.
It's gonna be stunning.
It's gonna be unbelievable.
And what about the opposite side of the street, those new trees?
Those are hawthorns. And then I planted some off of Pleasant View,
Pleasant
Chip
Ridge
Lakes?
Drive?
Pleasant Ridge Drive.
Off of by on the Washington side or
No,
on? Pleasant Ridge?
no, it's off
It's
of
Cobb?
Lime Rock Street,
Highland?
Highland Ave, yeah.
Oh, for Chip.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
planted
good.
3 over there for Chip. We planted 2 by Tannery, the Tannery, right before you get to Tannery, if you're heading out of town on the
Yeah.
left.
Yeah,
Planted
she's
2.
great.
I planted 2 right there. We planted a couple more in town, but we've planted
On the
probably,
public landing?
we planted 4, about 6 at the public landing.
Who painted those boxes blue?
I don't know. I don't like baby blue. It's not my favorite color.
It's sort of a shame.
I know,
Yeah, the
No,
Strategic
they didn't do it.
Education Alliance.
Oh, they didn't do it?
They didn't do it.
Yeah.
What?
Pixley strikes again.
I think it's,
Oh,
What?
boy.
I'm working with them to do some plantings and some
Yeah.
boxes.
Wayne didn't do that?
No,
Oh, wow.
no,
I had decided to let it go because I was like, well, if that's what Wayne thinks looks
That's
good,
what I
then-
said
no,
too.
no.
I
they
was like,
didn't.
well, he's trying to make it match the building.
I don't believe it was him.
Okay, well, let's follow up on that.
I
Is
will.
it possible to get that off?
I have a nice black forest green that would look great on those.
I've been working with Harper Lawrence on the plantings going in.
Is it galvanized to be?
That's fine.
Yeah, it's not something you usually paint.
Well,
Yeah,
let's just
right.
paint it.
I was thinking about that.
Just do whatever needs to be done. Just go for it.
Okay.
Before you move forward, can I just really quick circle back to the Conservation Commission applications because I was able to locate them. And one of the applicants is Kayla Maki Pittman, who helped establish the Wild Ones Mid-Coast Maine group. She, when they moved, she was barely just here and she got the native plants, that last year's native plant sale going with Amy Thompson. And she is one of the people who presented to us about having a declaration about Native Plant Month. So she's very engaged in this area, and she's I think she would be, I don't know the other people and they look also great, but she has established that, you know, she's doing stuff around town. So, but maybe the other people are good too. I don't know.
Besides Samantha and Kayla, who else was on the?
Samantha Scharf and Raymond Anderson and Matthew Cameron. And Matthew Cameron appears to have a lot of experience in environmental areas as well. So it might be worth everyone looking at these and seeing what they think, because there's a few applicants and it'd be nice to, you know, make a little input into what makes sense for the group.
I had a conversation with Matthew Cameron back when we were forming this group, and the time wasn't going to work for him. He really needed it to be evening meetings. I'm not sure if that would change if there's a Zoom option. Could circle back with him. He definitely had some experience in the area and environmental experience, and this is not my favorite area because there's usually many people that would be good, and I think we need to encourage people to. I think really Beatty should just be a member.
Well, I just can't perform.
Well, the thing is though that you say that, but you do.
Yeah, well, I'll keep coming until I croak, so don't worry about me.
Why don't you just hold the official title of being a member?
Because I want you to have people who can cope with computers and can see and hear. I can't see and hear very well.
We don't discriminate.
You say that, but then it doesn't seem to be true because you.
Well, I know, but I overperform.
Well.
But Beatty, I've got the computers covered. We don't have to do a lot of computer stuff. And by the way, I don't even show up. So you're doing better than, you know, I'm not physically there. You're doing a lot.
Sure, it's just that I appreciate that you have.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you had a lot of
years of experience and
I'd
wealth of knowledge you
rather
bring.
bumble off the committee than on the committee.
That's okay.
I feel like sometimes though having your name on things really adds to the credibility.
That's a consideration. If that's a
your
reason.
name is
Your
actually
presence makes a big
a
difference.
valuable thing when we put people's names on.
You're like a brand.
Yeah.
Like, so, no, people do really, oh, that's what Beatty Parker thinks. They really do.
It's
Sometimes
true.
like, okay, well, if that's what Beatty thinks, then.
Well, if you want to put my name up for that reason, I can see the point there, but, you know.
Samantha, can you send the link, the documents, the applications or whatever they are called for the Samantha, Kayla, Ray, Matthew?
Yes. Do you want me to email it to the whole group?
Yeah, no, to everybody. I think it would be helpful for all of us to review, and from my perspective, I think it's important that we expect not everyone will show up to every meeting, but I think it's important to have presence. And I mean, look at what Brian did. How many months has he been coming before he was an official, member? So like, it shows a level of commitment and willingness to to be, not just have the title, if you will, but to do the work.
The other thing.
And so it'd be great to have to reach out to any and all of them and see kind of who really has the level of commitment or the time availability to participate. Again, we don't expect everybody to do everything, but I think this group as a whole, since we've formed, has been pretty consistent overall in the amount of attendance and the participation in the different activities that we're doing. So I think that's going to be really important, is who here among them is.
And who might be willing to attend a few meetings, even just not being a member. It's nice for people to know what they're getting themselves into.
Oh, no, I think
that's
they
a really
should
good
do it
point.
before they
Have them come to a meeting.
Yeah, have them come to a couple meetings,
so.
see what they think.
Yeah.
Historic resources, before they got trashed, and I think they're back now, I'm not sure. They always had alternates. They had as many as 3 official alternates.
What do you mean got trashed?
Well, the committees got shut down.
That is such an incorrect thing that just keeps
Well,
getting
that's the
repeated.
perception. It's very strong perception.
But and people say this, and I say, why don't you subscribe to the town YouTube channel? I go to lots of historic resources committee meetings and put a lot of time into this. And for people to say that the committees have been shut down, subscribe to the town YouTube channel. We are meeting, people meet non-stop. The town has more committees than we've ever had. There are 2 that are not meeting right now, which is the design committee, which has been incorporated into other things, and the Parks and Rec Committee. Every other committee, and new ones have been formed, are meeting, and the Historic Resources Committee is among them.
Take it back partly, not so much for historic
COVID
resources,
was
but Energy Committee, which was somewhat, and I think it's largely because Anita went to Australia.
Okay. All right, well, we gotta get back.
I mean, a lot of this is encouraging outside groups to form and meet as well. Like, for the same reason you don't want to be an official member. Lots of people meet and have really meaningful contributions to the town without being an official town committee. And you have a lot more flexibility that way too. You'd like to have people from other towns.
In Rockland, they actually formed committees that were outside of the system on purpose.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to have to be within the, the rules and structure of the town. But anyway, so I got two more things.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
So,
A little sidetrack.
I don't know who else, maybe Alice would have touched on this, but we have there's a Mid-Coast Climate, Energy, and Green Building Happy Hour tonight from 5 to 7 at Barron Distillery and Restaurant, which I guess is
Lyman Morris.
Lyman Morris. So that's where a bunch of kind of people that are like us are gonna meet and go over stuff and talk about different, it was interesting, because that was they had the hatchery program that they reviewed at the high school. You were
It
there.
wasn't at the after one.
Was anybody, you, Allison, you were
Samantha
there?
was.
There was it was a
At the high school?
yeah, it was a really good turnout. There was a lot of pretty interesting people there from all kinds of different kind of groups. So that's at Barron's Distillery tonight,
What time is it? I don't.
5 to 7. So just, it says Mid-Coast Climate, Energy, and Green Building Happy Hour, next, the outdoors at Wednesday, June 20th, 5 to 7, Barron Distillery. I think they're gonna have like appetizers and stuff. And,
Where is it? Where's Barron's?
Lyman Morris.
Lyman Morris.
It's the new Lyman Morris facility. It's a really great group of people, and you find out sort of what's going on statewide and regionally, and
Yeah, it's pretty good. They are a pretty cool group of people. I met a few different people myself. So I'm gonna try and go. Hopefully some other people are gonna go. The other thing is on Friday at 11 o'clock. We're gonna be doing something down at the public landing, having a little cookout. There'll be music and entertainment by Steve Pixley. But the kids that worked on taking the lumber from the old wharf and rebuilding, making it into picnic tables, we're gonna bring all the picnic tables down, and have a little cookout. And the guys that worked on the wharf and the kids are gonna be there, and they're gonna talk about, Danny's gonna talk about that stuff, Linda Clancy's gonna be there. So that's 11, yeah, so if you want to come down and have a hot dog and, make it a big deal, because the kids did a nice job with the picnic tables.
What time is that?
11 o'clock. Okay, and, if you're gonna go, just kind of give me a heads up, I'll try and we've got enough food for everybody. It's not gonna be, hot dogs, veggie burgers, that kind of thing, if you want, the grill, some water, sodas probably. And then Linda Clancy's gonna be there, and we're gonna do a story about it, and it's a good story, and I think if we can support it, it'll be good. That's where we took the old stuff, made something good into it. Yeah, the repurposed it. Yeah. I read about that. He's doing a QR code that he's gonna put next to the tables. And then you put your phone on the QR code that tells the whole story of how it happened. That's great. She's the mastermind. She's the one who recommended we do it at the select board meeting. kind of dismissed it a little bit during the meeting. We ended up doing it.
Because sometimes you say, oh, high school kids will do something, it's like a lot more work than, it's like, they're not really gonna do something unless, but this group over there is like, if you give them an opportunity, they really follow through and do it, so.
So Sam, is there anything to report on the sustainability committee? The school sustainability committee?
Sorry, nothing to report. Well, they haven't met. No, nothing to report.
No problem, just wanted to keep it on the agenda, so it kind of keeps it at least in the forefront every month.
We gonna talk about the street tree program?
Oh, yeah, we
I
should,
mean, while we got day, because I want to
sure.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do
I
you
think
want
we-
to do that now, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, sure, we can go for it. I'll just comment that I did send a letter of support regarding the public landing that we had discussed last month for Jeremy for additional letter for a grant that they were writing to increase fundage so we can do more climate resiliency, or at least stop, 10, 20-year stopgap measures to bridge the inevitable, but nonetheless, needs to be done and costs a lot of money, so we need to do the right thing. So I did send that, so yeah, circle back on the street
All right,
trees.
so I've been working with Pamela on, I think we, as we could call it a subcommittee or whatever, we're we want to take some ownership for the street tree program to help drive it. And we met a couple of times. Unfortunately, she's not feeling well, so we were going to do it this week, but we need to check in with you. You were copied on one of the emails about driving it, and where are we in terms of your perspective with that program? Like, are you urgently seeking more trees? I mean, more
Locations.
candidates for tree? Yeah.
I mean, I think Edie put together a big list.
Yep.
Well, they were things I didn't know whether they were on the list.
Right.
Well-
And you made sure that they were.
Yeah, so I'm good with the ArcGIS database, like I'm really comfortable with it. So I entered all that stuff into the
Okay,
database.
so then that's good to know. I didn't know. if
Yep,
that was-
that's all,
Okay.
that's all. And I wanted to say, anybody who has somebody who wants a street tree and doesn't know what to do with the information, you can just email it to me and I'll put it into the database. I don't care if it's a picture of a note or whatever, right? And
So you're point person.
yeah, I'll take point person. I'm good with that.
So the way I look at it is, I think we have probably enough to get through the year.
All right.
With this next round of trees.
That's good to know.
That's what we,
But I think that if we don't continue to pick away at it,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a problem next year.
yeah.
All right, yeah, that's good.
And then if you wanna have this goal of, 50 trees a year, which we did more than that last year.
77?
And we're gonna do a little bit more probably this year.
Mhm.
We need to start adding to that list.
All right.
And it takes time, so you just wanna kind of stay steady at it, and,
Yeah, because
one or two here and
getting
there.
back to people, making sure that they're not disagreeing or whatever.
Yeah, and people,
This is Pamela.
there she is, right there. So people have,
I think we have to let her in.
people have come and gone since we've done this too, that's the other thing. So, some of the people that said yes aren't even the same people anymore.
I know,
Yeah.
it's quite a lot of checking.
Yeah, it is, but I think it's working well. I think let's just stay kind of trying to keep on adding to that.
See,
Yeah.
Pamela, we were just talking about the street tree program,
Yeah, that's what I
and you
figured.
mysteriously arrived,
Yeah.
which is great. Yeah.
You said your name and you walked through the door. So you weren't feeling well, you okay?
Yeah, I've got Lyme for the 6th time.
Wow, why?
Yeah, it's just that, I'm okay.
I know, why is it, because of where is it, your house?
No, I was down by Sherman's Cove, actually,
Oh,
doing
wow.
a site analysis, and found a tick on me the next day.
Jeez.
Turned into a bullseye rash.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they just like me. They just really like me. I mean, I go out all armored up, looking like a big nerd with the socks and everything, but somehow they find
I think
a
you could
spot.
give Lyme disease to the ticks now.
I know, you think I'd be super immune.
Um,
Anyways,
So we're good, I think.
that's too bad. But I was talking about how you and I,
Yeah,
we said we would be like a subcommittee to do help drive the street tree
sure,
program.
yeah, absolutely.
Dave thinks he's in pretty good shape for the rest of this year,
Okay.
given the number of trees he
Yeah, it
has.
wouldn't hurt to add some to it, to give us a little bit
Yeah.
of flexibility, like, because remember, not all locations are open, you know? And I think we have this year more, big trees and small trees. And the small trees are for under the wires, so.
Yep.
That's where it can get a little.
So is that list then in that GIS databases, the list of targeted people you're working with is?
So remember, the square icon
Yep.
says it's been planted, I think.
Yep.
The other one says it's a potential location, and then when it's got a green ring around it,
Yep.
it means we've talked to the homeowner.
Are those the ones you're actively working
Yes,
on?
we go after the ones with a halo on them, unless we have a
Okay.
call about, I want a tree,
Okay,
and then we just go and do it, and then we put it in there ourselves.
so if I get a question from, or from somebody that, can we get a tree? We can look on that database and see where you're actively working, and we can.
Doesn't matter, just go to that place,
All right,
put it down and make a green ring on it, and then we'll go there.
all right, oh, good, that's good, excellent, good.
Yep.
Okay. And I had one more thing I wanted to add.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the street tree program, just FYI, you know, the Strategic Education Alliance is putting an aquarium in down at the harbor. You guys
Oh,
are
yeah.
aware of that, right?
Oh, seafarers.
Yeah, Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne, right.
Restwick?
Yep.
So I've been working with them a little bit on that, right? Not a lot, but I mean, just FYI. So Barbara Lawrence actually came over to my place.
You're gonna be the keeper of the aquarium?
No, I don't want to be the keeper of the aquarium. It's going to be a lot of work. I mean, but I'm happy to volunteer to do some things on it.
I think a little bit, yeah.
You know, to help with the, you know, because it's going to require daily, you know, stuff, right?
Right.
But, I mean, I just wanted you folks to know what's going on, and if you had any questions.
Is it gonna be done this year, or is it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
supposed to be done
It
the
is?
next 2
Oh,
weeks.
okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, they
So
got the
you're
whole
very
area,
involved in this.
yeah, they got the whole area. It's, you know, he's got the pump
Yep,
apparatus, like it looks like there now. And the
Uh,
box built, and the piping's in there and everything.
underneath the harbor master, you can see down.
No, he's built like a,
I don't know, he's supposed to come over to my house tonight.
yeah, it's pretty, I mean, it's coming along.
It sounds cool, but it needs to, you know, we need to make sure everything is well orchestrated so that the little critters are happy and everybody happy, and the kids don't see crabs eating the fish and scream and stuff, and, I'm being sarcastic, but anyway. But,
No, I mean, that's good to bring up, because we do want, that was, the select board voted
yep.
to allow that, and, it wasn't a zero discussion item, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of competition for like activity
Yep.
on the public landing, and we've said no to other things.
I think it's really cool.
But we said yes to this.
But this is a passive and a recreational.
Right, the idea is it's a public benefit,
educational.
educational.
I know, but some people like thinking driving up and getting lobsters curbsides, this is important, so, there was that.
Right.
Actually, you can still do that, it just isn't gonna have a shack there, but, so making it successful and giving
Right.
green help, and there's
Yep.
definitely conservation overlap, and maybe trying to find, it's a good opportunity to, find a place to put some information about things, but the trees, there's a big overlap with the trees because of, the whole idea is supposed to be that they have trees down there that then become part of the town's street tree planting program. So those trees,
The ones in the tubs?
Yeah, those are hawthorns.
Dave's pretty concerned. And so the big bet is whether they're gonna survive.
Yeah, right, I know.
See that?
And I said I thought they were definitely gonna take care of them and it wasn't gonna be an issue, but we wanna make sure that's true,
So the
so.
harbor master?
We're not implicating him specifically at this point,
I think he's
but,
got somebody working for him that's doing the watering, that's who's doing the watering,
Yeah.
for the stuff you planted.
but it's a good thing to keep an eye on for
Yeah,
everybody.
Wayne's like really committed to this.
Exactly, but
yeah,
it shouldn't be just him.
Extremely, I was really impressed with, the energy and effort, and
Oh, yeah.
he's so excited about it, he's
Oh,
great. I
yes.
volunteered to help out, not in behalf of the Conservation Commission, but just me.
Yeah,
Because I have all this crazy stuff in my basement
right.
to help out
That's what I was
with this
thinking.
stuff, and, so FYI.
I'm helping Barbara with the plans.
I'm excited
good.
about it too. I have aquariums in my living room, but with things that I've caught in the harbor.
You could donate your eel.
I do, I want to see how it's going first, but, it's not easy, so, but the eels survive.
No, I think it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, so speaking of Seafair, there was between May and June here, we had the event, and
Yes.
Pamela was the representative, and thank you for that. But so how can we better represent ourselves next year?
I brought along some visual aids, actually. So even though Rockport, we were sharing the table with Rockport, they actually didn't have anybody there, but they had, some brochures. Yeah.
How did you share a table with somebody that
Well,
wasn't
we had to
there?
set up some stuff for them,
Oh,
but
okay.
they had some information.
Oh, you mean like their conservation commission?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, there were a couple of things I noticed. Well, first of all, last year, it was in the amphitheater.
Well, that's the goal,
And it was,
but it sounds like
it was actually, it was way different being at the middle school, because all of a sudden, of course, there were lots of children there. Whereas, and Beatty can testify to this too, because Beatty was my table mate, and Molly Stone, who's also there. That at the amphitheater, there were people just sort of went, oh, something's happening, and wandered in, unless they specifically knew. There were some smaller children, with Lynn Rudder's Roots and Shoots activities there to be in the middle of the whole amphitheater. But this year, because there were so many kids, and certain teachers were letting their kids come down and go through the fair. It was mobbed with kids, and they were super interested, but we had nothing that was really interactive,
Well, there was so much else, I didn't feel bad about it, there's so much for them to do.
Yeah. I mean, we were right next door to Julie in the, conservation district booth, and she had, coloring books and all kinds of stuff,
And there was a
kids were
nursery school in
picking
the
up.
middle that had been cooperating with the 7th grade.
Yep.
And they were great, they had all this.
Well, but so, this is a whole other layer of the conversation. So it's like from our role as the Conservation Commission is to ask the clarifying question to Seafair, is this going to be a kid-focused event going forward, or is this going to be a all-ages event going forward? Because my impression from your discussion with you, as well as Julie at the Soil Water District, and the like, is that it was the linchpin year. The push is to have it at the middle school going forward, and have the driving, but it's basically going to be not mine, but the Conservation District's former conservation fair is what it's going to be, but just for CRMS. And I can go on public record because there's 15 years of fairs and plus 25 years of fairs and plus, that's very much what this is. So if that's the case, then it needs, the model's got to be adapted to fit that. Because even the outreach that we talked about doing with just, whether it was a brochure or handouts on, on the street trees, a handout on, things that were interesting, need to be modified or just not done at all. And
Maybe one or two, just something that would draw them in and get them to
so we need to do
think
something
about things.
middle school focused as opposed to.
Did you guys do this? I'm going to interrupt it. Did you?
No, I forget what, does it go to the?
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So anyways, we've plenty of time, and I don't think it's that we shouldn't participate. I think we have a lot of time to find out what Seafair plans on doing going forward. So we could adapt.
Yeah, definitely. I also think that, on a larger scale, we should be thinking of that community outreach education somehow with, just in general, either with other events we attend or, decide to attend. Maybe more press. I don't know, Dave, I was thinking about that at our last meeting, how you were talking about how you took out the boardwalk and the kids at the hatchery made all these,
That's happening on Friday.
picnic tables and stuff, and we were thinking about.
Friday, we're having a thing at 11 o'clock down there about it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so
yeah.
you weren't here when we
And
talked about that.
Is there a press?
Yep.
Oh, excellent, yeah.
So,
I don't know.
Did you, this thing, Rockport, on that flyer, Rockport has this,
the QR code thing.
yeah, QR code with questionnaire.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it goes to, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The first question, I'll just do one. It says, please rank your priorities for the focus of Rockport Conservation Commission's work for the next 3 years. Please use your cursor to click on and drag into the desired position, the most important, 1 being most important, 9 being least important, and the topics are impacts of invasive species, conservation of marine species and habitats, impacts of chemicals, fertilizers, and herbicides, conservation of land spaces and habitat, pandemic impacts on local environment, protection of coastal waters, protection of lakes and ponds, rivers and streams, and local impacts on climate. And I can't see the other one here. It seems like there's one more. But anyway, you can just move them around into the order you want them.
Yeah,
It's kind of neat.
it's good,
That'd
it's
be fun
great.
to do some surveys.
Yeah, that was what my point is that this is not a bad thing. Like, maybe we could do something like that, similar to that. We don't have to copy theirs, but we could do something along the same line. Maybe you could do one for piers, or maybe you could do one for, armoring of shores, or you could do one, or, just to see what people think.
Yeah, and then that's an opportunity to add an education piece to it too, to talk about, shoreline conservation and what shoreline armoring does, to the habitats and things like
Right.
that.
Then you could put this QR code around town, then people could just, because these things kind of do get people's attention, it seems like, this whole QR code thing.
And you get the feedback.
And you get the feedback automatically, yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah, so I'll leave this down for now.
Pamela, I think you weren't here, but there's a planning board, select board workshop today at 3,
Okay,
where they're getting public input on, for the whole first part is short-term rentals, but then there's a little peer thing at the end to determine next steps.
okay,
Just so you know.
yeah. And is it right here?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hopefully we can get them to study it a little bit more, or.
Yeah,
So how will we know about to sit around for the whole short-term rental part before we just there for the peer thing? Put a public comment on that.
You could just submit public comment in writing probably too, if you wanted. Although I've told people that before and then been stopped from that, but I don't think that'll happen now. Yeah, I don't know, not everybody wants to sit through all the short-term rental stuff. There'll probably be a Zoom option.
Okay.
Okay. So moving on to Conservation Commission projects that we've got going on. The community resilience training that was part of the Maine Council of Governments through the Mid-Coast region. I attended the first training right here and was unable to attend the June 5th training. Were you able to make that training at the Samoset?
Mm-hmm.
What's to report? I didn't know. I mean, it was such a last minute and nobody could go. Like, it was one of those, like, no way days. So I kind of
Yeah, I spent the whole day there.
blocked it right out. I was like, can't go, move on. Like, so.
It was great. I don't know if it was a training so much as informational, but there were a couple other people there from Camden too. Courtney Cease was there, and Molly Mulhern was there. The most tangible thing that came out of it, I just texted Courtney to ask if she had dropped it off at the town office, but Maine Sea Grant and a bunch of others, specifically I think Parker Gassett's been working on it, they put together this this booklet that's going to be online as well, but it's also a printed thing that's basically a resource guide for everything related to sea level rise adaptation and sort of resilience training, resilience, like funding sources, best practices, to just have as a resource guide for people to be able to go to, and that looked really good, and every town was given a copy, sort of in this initial printing to take back, and Courtney has Camden's, and she may have dropped it off at the town office already. I'm pretty sure both Janice and Audra are out all week. So that was a good thing, and we should look through it. And when I don't know if the digital version is available yet, but it looked like they put a lot. It's like all these little things that we talk about kind of during the meetings where it's like, oh, there's this, or there's this, and can you send me a link to that? And the idea is to have it all sort of in one place. So that was good. There were a bunch of, there are a few different companies that presented, which I really like, because a lot of the time everybody has all these good ideas, but then you go to find a contractor that will actually, that actually has any experience with any of this stuff, and there aren't that many. But there were a few there that, what was it? Maybe GEI. Anyway, I think that's going to be part of the booklet too. They showcased a few different projects. FB Environmental was there. They've done a bunch of stuff with watershed management plans, and they're the ones that are helping the town with the Citizens Advisory Committee. Yeah. And they're really good with their visual stuff. So it was interesting to see all the different projects that they've been working on. So yeah, I was very glad to have gotten the nudge to go. Esperanza was there too. It was pretty well attended. And Molly talked about that group, the climate group. What's it called again? Yeah, so it has a good name, and she said there are others.
Oh, Camden Can.
Camden Can, yeah.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with.
Climate Action Network.
Yeah, and I guess there are others. Like, I was like, oh wow, that's so clever. And she said they're not the only one. It's other towns, like there's other Freeport Can.
Regions that are using this similar.
Yeah, it sounds so similar to Camden Cares. It's a little bit funny right now, but I'm sure that will pass.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I was wondering if someone would just make a list of all these different groups, because I can't keep track of what you're talking about sometimes. I know which is which.
Yeah.
I mean, really, just since this meeting began, there were like 5, 6 different entities. And anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of the same with committees.
And it's happening.
Right.
It's happening fast, yeah.
It seems like a lot of them are like all kind of in the same arena though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely overlap.
Yeah.
For sure.
A little glossary of who everybody is. Yeah.
A decoder ring.
All right, well, thank you for attending that. I'll look forward to seeing the actual document at some point. So we were sort of touching on this topic throughout the meeting, is education and outreach for town residents. And we don't have to make a decision today per se, but seeing the rack card thing, or maybe not a rack card, but doing a QR code and some little flyers around town, with that, or in the town hall and on the website, and the town website, etc. I mean, there's any number of, I feel like that some of the education outreach that we're doing are the signs that are going out, to just labeling our waterways and our stream crossings. And I mean, that's another education outreach piece. I feel like we're doing some of that, but is there something more that we should be doing? I don't know. This isn't a question, I guess, to ask now, but I'm going to sort of raise it, is that having a presence on, having a web page within the town website. I honestly,
That's, I think, pictures of things that we've accomplished.
I think that would be the most logical and kind of the best way to get the most information out there, and we can continue to populate it. So, again, poor Allison, I'll kind of loop back around, but I would be willing, even if it was a small grant or a sponsorship type of approach, to say X, Y, Z businesses or this particular grant might funnel, would support the time and effort necessary to get a good web page up with a list of resources and talk about the street tree program and talk about this and talk,
Mission statement, maybe, what our.
Yeah, well, the mission statement should be reflect the same as, the main association of conservation commissions is education, outreach, and advocacy, non-regulatory, et cetera. So we can almost essentially copy and paste it, but serving the town of, Camden and then 2023 projects or current projects, whatever, but I think putting together a web page and updates, current events would be, that to me is like the go-to and the driver, and and then we can have these little surveys, all this other stuff come and go over time, and to make those connections, working with the Harbor Committee on this, here, it's one link to them, there, boom, to their, that just helps solidify who we are, what we're doing, and our connection directly with the town. So I would personally vote that we kind of, these are nice, but I think that we all are sitting here with, I've got 2 computers, you've got 2, you've got 2, you've got 2, so there's nothing wrong with having paper. I prefer my books on paper, but the rest of my information and my files are largely electronic, so I think that might just be the more logical way to spend some time and money with education and outreach and resources for the commission. But
Yeah, I think if you think about our role in educating people, residents of the town or wherever, sort of longer term, it would be, well, I'm gonna back up, because I think my experience with conservation commissions from years in the past was they can be sort of a gloom and doom scenario, like if we don't do this, this is gonna happen kind of thing. And I think, to your website point, it would be really cool if we had, pesticides are bad, but these are alternatives you could use, natural ways to get rid of pests.
Yeah.
Herbicides are not good, but these are natural things you can do to get rid of things plants you don't like.
Yeah.
We could do one on natural, native plants versus invasive plants. I mean, I know that's daunting, but I just mean, from an educational standpoint, longer term, it would be really cool if we had a proactive stance on a lot of these topics that gave people alternatives to not doing it the old way, but here's some other things to think about. And so it becomes part of an educational process for us, and it puts us in a proactive role, educating our consumers, whoever they are. And I think it puts us in from a perception standpoint, it's a really good perception. If you see the Conservation Commission in Camden provided us with a lot of alternatives to pesticides in terms of natural pest control. And that's cool. And I'm sure all that stuff's already out there anyway, but organize it.
Yeah, just put it all into place, like you put on the website, you could make some flyers.
Yeah, I mean, longer term is part of our mission,
The benefit of a website over a brand card or something is that it's changeable.
Yeah,
So,
I
when
like
best
it a lot.
practices change or.
You do a QR
Add
code that
something.
takes you to the.
Exactly,
to
right,
the-
and
yeah.
when something becomes dated or the events come and go, we can.
Yeah, I had this
Pull it.
experience with hemlock woolly adelgid, because I have a hemlock tree that has woolly adelgid. And it was, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And I Googled it, and there's all this stuff popping up, and it's like, You know, I mean, certain subjects like that on.
Yeah, it helps you narrow it
It
down.
helps,
Yeah.
you know, somebody's already thought about it for us, and they live in my community, so I don't have to look at stuff from like the Department of Agriculture in South Carolina, right?
Right.
It's like in my community in Camden, this is what.
Right, or at least having the appropriate links to the Maine Forest Service as opposed to Wisconsin Ag Extension or something. You know,
right.
Having, you know, the Soil Water Conservation District, having the Humane Extension and appropriate things that are relevant to our town.
Like the brown-tailed moths.
Oh, yeah.
The brown-tailed moths, like.
So we actually have, the collective, my colleagues at large, through the Maine Invasive Species Network, a survey has just, that's how I saw it first, but they have a statewide survey. I haven't even had the opportunity to open yet. It just came out yesterday or this morning. I just saw it. And that would be a great survey to cross-reference, to link to here in Camden, because think of the number of residents with brown-tailed moth that could be adding
Well, the brown-tailed moth,
data.
they have the drone, they have the drones now where, I mean, and that drone technology all originated here. That's all from the town of Camden. Because it was my idea.
Oh, well, they were doing it.
Yeah.
They were doing it.
No, I researched the company that actually started and built.
It's
Oh, you did?
amazing.
Oh.
And built the thing to do it. And then actually Anita followed through with it. She saw it to the end. I stayed out of it because it wasn't something that the town wanted to sponsor. We wanted to make it something available to people, but not something the town did.
All right, well, I think.
It's a great thing though, because there's a person in town that does that.
Is it actually available though? I researched it when I saw the news coverage and didn't seem like you could actually hire the person to do it.
Hire somebody right now to do it. They'll come over, and the thing about it is it's not like you don't need to drive a lift onto your property or anything. It goes over with the drone, and they just go around. They have this pendulum thing, and they clip all the nests, and then they burn
It's
them.
really cool.
Yeah, so there's
What's the company called? Because I don't feel like they're doing any publicity. I'm surprised that they're not a bigger deal right now.
Allison can tell you. I don't know the name of the company. Actually, it's somebody Allison knows.
Yes, very well.
Yeah.
Cool. So it sounds like we're in a consensus about figuring out how we could create a web page within the town website, or how we.
Maybe everybody should do like a topic.
We'll work with
Yeah.
Allison and.
Yeah.
Janice, whomever, all the powers that be, to figure out how complicated that will or won't be, because it'll be
It's
one
not
thing to
hard
get
at
the
all.
funding, it'll be another thing, like, what's the capacity of the web, you know.
It's not hard. I mean, all you have to do is give it to me. I give it to Audra, and she puts it on the website. We just have to have the topics. So we probably should arrange the topics on whatever somebody's interested in or know something about. Like I know something about the brown-tailed moth technology. You might know something about the pesticides. See, I don't know a lot about the natural pesticides.
Recycling, I'm sure we could.
Yeah, you could put something like that. I mean, everybody should pick one thing maybe.
Yeah.
And
I'm
do
gonna send
that.
an email out.
Yeah.
But afterwards, and just
Right.
kind of formulate this as like a rough outline, and
I mean, I could do
we'll
the
try to figure
recycling
out
thing.
how to.
Keep me on it.
Yeah, try to figure out how we can,
If we had a
Parse
template
that
to
out.
work from,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
so that whatever the topic was, there's a template you put the information into,
Yeah,
so it's
it's-
not some.
I should say the Conservation Commission has vetted these
Yep.
issues, and
Yep.
here's some information to help you deal with those things. And so it should say how to deal with brown-tailed moths.
Yeah.
The guy's contact name and what the technology is.
Right.
How to get rid of your food waste. Here's how you do it. How do
So, the Energy Committee put on 4 programs 2 years ago. We could never get them on the town website. It was home energy, school energy, municipal energy, and state. So it was, and we're still not trying to say climate, but we did sometimes. You know, it was still fishy. And it's 2 years in now, but that sort of thing should have gone right on the town website.
Was it a town committee?
No, well, it was the Energy Committee who put it
Was
on.
it a town committee?
I don't know if the energy
Yeah,
committee
they
was
were
a
a town
town
committee,
committee,
yeah.
well, good.
No,
Yeah.
they probably just didn't follow the protocol to get it on there.
Well,
But see,
I tried, Nancy Harmon Jenkins, who set them up, tried.
I mean,
Anyway, things maybe are different now.
we could put it under a subset of the Public Works Department too. I could put it on my part of the page, because my part of the page, we're talking about creating a, what,
The idea of,
Brian, Rebecca had an idea of like vetted issues that the Conservation Commission endorses. So like one issue would be like brown-tail moths. How do you?
we'd like a web page, this Conservation Commission.
Just
would
like a
web page
like a
on the
web-
website. But we know that there might be many hoops to jump through or not.
I didn't think that'd be a problem if we had it all compiled.
Oh, the town's so good at the website.
Well, no, but it wouldn't be hard to do. It wouldn't, we could get Audrey to just put it on my page or somewhere on the page.
Yes,
Yeah, that's.
but this is what Audra calls death by a thousand cuts. And
That doesn't sound good.
I was gonna say, it sounds like a terrible practice,
so we can. What might be better is because this is part of the problem with all the committees. They all want websites and and then it becomes, we don't have anybody that's really great with the web. It's Janice or Audra.
It's a lot of time.
It really doesn't, but what the McGonagall River Citizens Advisory Committee ended up doing, and I don't know all the discussions that went on behind that, is there's a link to they created their own thing. And there's a link to that on the town website, so they can change, you can use
they have their own administrator.
Google Sites or something like that.
But they're also paying for it.
Oh, well, that maybe, but I mean, I've built so many free websites, it's just, depending on what kind of stuff you want to put on there. But the Conservation Commission does have a page on the website.
It would be just
The
like
town
a
website.
quick link thing, like a reference guide to how to deal with these.
All right,
How do
You can post you can ask to have things put on there, that's fine. It's just if you want something that's going to be dynamic and updated often.
I don't think is that what you were talking about?
Well, it would
Links
be
still
handy
go
to-
out of date.
It would be handy to be able to update it from time to time.
Time to time.
I think what I was suggesting was a longer term, like, it would be cool if we had helpful topics for Camden residents in terms of addressing local issues with a local context, right? Like, the brown-tailed moth is a good one. Hemawolea delge is another one.
Mhm.
Like, if emerald ash borer, like invasive plants, like pesticides versus natural pest control, like herbicides versus, and not try to do it all at once, but just to say, like, if we established a template and we said, like, we're committed long-term, like over the next 2 years, all right?
Yeah.
Not like over the next week. And we could, I mean, I'm totally dreaming, right? We could have a subcommittee or Pam and I can do the street tree program and put something together that, I want a street tree, how do I get one? Well, here, you click on this and,
They call those FAQs,
Yep.
frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
And then we could just.
There's already something under Camden Conservation Commission about the emerald ash borer preparedness report.
Right. but
And
we
there's
could
some
update
old
that.
thing, there's some old information about the water quality reports, which should be updated, but we could, if you go to it.
You could just work off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
just come up with a list of things that you want posted there.
Yeah, let's just all do an FAQ. Frequently asked question. How do I get rid of ants? You know what I mean? I use boric acid and what do you use? Boric acid and what meeting?
You're asking me.
The other thing that you guys could do, if you
Sugar.
see, if you go to the front of the homepage of the website, there's like these stories. Like latest town news. And if somebody wanted to have a topic about anything, you could just send that to Audra, and sometimes she asks different town staff people to do things, or the idea was it was supposed to be a little bit more there was supposed to be more stuff posted here. But you know, if there's a specific topic, then you could.
I think that idea, though, is helpful because when people are trying to take care of an issue, they'll call. And at least now we could like point them to something in a direction and say, look, go to this part of the website, and it addresses like all of these things. And it tells you exactly what you need to do.
I think it would be important for the Conservation Commission to get some visibility too. Like, oh, we have a very active Conservation Commission town, and they're helping us with this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we get some PR, which is good, you know. That all goes back to that brochure where you say, like, this is what we do in Rockport as part of the conservation, and the thing you were showing us, Dave, the QR code and the questions, what would you like us to work on? I feel like I'm unnecessarily complicating this whole thing, but
Look what you've done, Brian.
Well,
I just got a vision in my brain of
the Conservation Commission is involved, you know, in fixing things environmentally and informing people, and it's huge. So it's going to be overwhelming anyway, but if you're listening to what people need to know and what the Conservation Commission wants to address, and those are the topics you can do. And we do have the pesticide question, which includes insecticides and herbicides.
Yeah,
exactly.
People don't understand that. That needs to be the
That's
first
a
sentence.
problem.
Okay. Well, I think the consensus is that we want to consider web page moving forward, or updating or adding to the web page moving forward, and we'll kind of pull in different ideas. So I'll send a separate email out over the next couple of weeks that sort of we can start populating topics, ideas, prioritizing, and knowing that this will be a process moving forward, but at least get some momentum, and we'll figure out what the best approach is. Me being the least technologically savvy probably at the table. So
I actually do have the ability to update the website too. It's just I don't. If you come up with a few different things to post at once rather than just like little things.
Yeah, no.
15 times to Audra. It's
No, I wouldn't want to do that, but I think I also don't want to be like, here are 52 things to do. I mean, that's, you know, like what's the sort of sweet spot of like 5 sort of general topic areas. I mean, we certainly should talk about the street trees. We should probably, the pesticide things continues to come up, so at least have some basic information. We can, you know, again, figure that out in a sort of separate email going forward.
right, just like links to things would be.
Yeah, I mean, the information is
like links to the street tree database. And oh, Brian, did you say that, like, for people that if they just want to say like they want a tree at their house, is that, I think we were telling them that they could call Beatty.
Well, I didn't
is that
have
right?
anybody else to put down, so
So
that's the
Brian, is
only
that-
one I could do.
They can,
Is that okay? I think I heard you say that you're
Yeah.
entering everything into the.
Yep.
So are you okay with your email address being shared?
I think so.
Yeah, he can get into the program and see it. I can't see it.
I mean, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. I don't think it'll be too bad. I mean,
gotten
my address
into
is all
it.
over the internet too.
I don't think so either.
And
It's for the
Samantha-
right reasons.
It's tree people.
Samantha's offered to put things in too, and I haven't used you as much. Are you still there, Samantha?
Yeah, I am, and I'm happy to do it, but I don't think there's enough activity that Brian and I both need to do it. So I'm happy to if anyone ever sends it to me, but I don't think I need my email out there for it.
Okay, good. So you're the man.
You can get out of it, Beatty, and
Thank you.
just,
That's what I
but if
need.
anybody here gets some input, just send it to me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the database or anything. Just send me, you can send it, carrier pigeon, Pony Express, take a picture of a note, email it. I don't care what it is, form it's in, just I can put it in the database.
I should say it can be hard to get hold of people when you need the feedback, but anyway.
Yep.
We'll work on that.
okay. All right, well, that sounds like we've got a plan of attack for education and outreach that makes the most sense and will reach the most people, so that's good. I met last night from like 7 to 8:30, so that was my final end of my working day after, was with the Knox Coastal Conservation Commission Working Group. So there were representation from all the towns that have been meeting thus far. There's some long timers and there's a lot of newbies, and there's this general consensus that we didn't know what anybody else was doing or how to do certain things in some cases, how to approach it. So that it would be advantageous to have this networking opportunity to share resources and information and ideas, and to maybe amplify efforts, if you will, that each other's doing. So we talked about dark skies last night. We talked about the continuing concern of the impact of water in the coastal, the heavy rains and, and this sort of watershed coastal in general. And then we also talked about solar as an energy efficiency and option, and, looking at helping to, have alternative energy options. So the consensus is that we're going to meet quarterly going forward, and that we're going to continue to share information as needed. And we are going to kind of work with each other's strengths and work with each other's momentum and share. So Owl's Head is got a lot of momentum behind the dark skies. They've had a lot of residents talking at their public meetings about dark skies. They've already just talked with somebody who's done a Maine-specific dark skies 70-minute documentary that they're looking to bring to the area. So there's like this momentum. So Catherine, the representative there, basically said, look, we can, Owl's Head and any other, conservation commission can sort of within us can join forces, but we're kind of willing to represent and share all the information and share what we're learning, and then you can continue to share it. And so the goal with that particular one is to try to do an event in like late winter, early spring of next year, and showcase this, do this video, but that we as the town of Camden, Conservation Commission, and all the others represented would put it on this potential website and as an event and sort of co-sponsor and try to, again, this is more of an amplification of the effort. And then rather than, every single town feeling like they have to do an event on dark skies, it's Owl's Head is, 2 towns away or 3 towns away, we can share that information and that effort. And if they put together an outreach handout, or they put together some links on their website, that we are willing to sort of cross over those things and share, and so we don't have to duplicate it twice, we just use it. So that was what's happening. Again, St. George is doing a little solar energy outreach event in August. Ken is going to use that both for themselves locally as well as for this working group as a guide going forward, like what worked, what didn't, who attended, what are the needs, what were the questions, and then we can populate some outreach efforts or bring another event or program together that we can all kind of share. But I think it's good. I think that there's opportunities going forward for potential larger regional grants, particularly with the climate resiliency and large-scale watershed, management stuff, whether it's stream smart crossings or other things that are happening that can, whether it's, green infrastructure along the coastal shorelines and other living shorelines, but whatever it is, I think that there's, we agree that we're all kind of helping each other out and learning, better understanding how we fit and are working, in the communities on the whole. So they know that they can ask the questions, so we're going to share the most relevant, the current topics that are going on in our towns at the beginning of each meeting, and questions, hey, have you worked with this, that, the other thing, kind of, who's done this kind of a project, or does anybody else looking for funding to do X, Y, or Z project again, so then we can meet sort of separately and move forward. But I thought it was a good meeting, and we kind of nailed down the second Thursday from 7 to 8. It's going to be largely by Zoom unless we do some smaller groups. And, we I felt like we really kind of shifted from how are we going to work and operate and all the different topics we could talk about to sort of realizing how we could kind of gel as a group and learn from each other going forward. So it was good. Yeah.
Barb, when is the tour, the planned tour of the
Camden Garden Club tour, July 20th.
I mean, wouldn't it be a good time to have like a little, let's say, set up a booth at Barb's house, but,
But we can set up a booth at Barb's house, that's what he's saying, right?
No, but I mean.
You're on the garden tour, right?
Yes.
Right, but I mean, is that an opportunity maybe to have something for people to look at or to talk to people, or, I mean, I'm not trying to create more work here, I don't know.
I'll be busy.
Really?
Not expecting you to do it, I'm just saying, is that an opportunity, since people in Camden are gonna be walking around to the garden, is there like a garden-related thing? Maybe it could be just like like herbicide, some kind of herbicide information, or, I don't
It's
know.
not invasives or
Something, or
sharing invasives.
wouldn't that be a good time
Oh,
to do
I
that?
could-
Because those are the people that are,
They're putting all
they're
this
moving
stuff
plants
on.
around and, they're doing all that stuff. It might be a good time to have at least something there that kind of says, hey, when you go out shopping at.
So I agree. I think for an easy one is the natives invasive sort of approach, but we've got wild ones, so push the natives on them.
How about just a list of things that you should
I mean that
be
in a polite
cautious
way.
on, or something like that?
I think the invasive,
But
maybe sharing the
I've got-
invasives app.
I have literally a portable box of fact sheets, so anybody could ask for anything, and I could literally be like, there you go, like right now, right? I've
Maybe
got
a
the
QR
poster-
code of that.
A poster of the 33 listed, there's more that have been added. I can see I can ask Catherine if they've updated the poster. Don't know that they have, but certainly the lists. I won't be available in the mornings, but I could certainly come down for the afternoon. I don't know what the timing is, but I do think that's a relevant,
Because I'm ready to plant black locust everywhere, and if you didn't tell me it was a bad.
If anybody wants to know, my garden is just exploding with not necessarily invasives, but plants that want to be invasive. And if anybody wants to come and see the war going on, I am the zoo. And I'm going to stay that way. I'm going to just keep seeing what happens.
It's just an experiment.
She's got popcorn,
She
and
has a
she's sitting
case
here,
study.
I'm gonna watch what
It's a
happens.
climate change experiment.
The,
They're so ready.
on the damper, actually, yesterday, I was really not prepared because I was walking through the library and this woman was like, look at how beautiful these
Oh,
roses
God.
are. Do
Yeah,
you know
right.
that they banned them? And it's just such a shame. And I said, oh, I have some of those in my house too, and I can see what, and I'm not
I have
very
them.
They should
well
have looked
prepared
at
to
the box
talk
we pulled
about.
out.
But, we've been trying to replace them, and this one was like questioning, what's bad about the Rosa rugosas, and then I wish I had like a,
It's on the invasive species watch list.
oh, they were aware of that, and it's like illegal to get them now, and this,
It's
And,
not yet, but.
but then they talked a little bit about the barberry and the liaison to the library board of trustees.
Mhm.
And I had been I wasn't gonna use up all my political capital bringing that issue up, but it came up anyway, because they have trouble keeping it trimmed.
Oh, I so wish I was there. My
Well-
stomach wasn't growling and I didn't have another meeting to go to last
It-
night. I was.
You should eat.
the best
It was,
thing.
But there's a lot of interest on the board about that, because as they started talking about
It's all
difficulty
mapped,
trimming it, and then somebody was like, they should just cut it all down, and I was like, ooh. And then you could see the reaction of the other trustees. They were like, there's some people have whole companies just for getting rid of the barberry, and they were like, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting that you're bringing this up, because it does come up in our Conservation Commission meetings and around town, and we just did some replacing of things on the public landing to be more in line with what the Olmsteds wanted and not so much with what the town wanted. Nikki, the director, was having a really hard time understanding why we would, if it was part of the original plan, why that would be changed. But all of the trustees seemed very, or they were all
Receptive to
the idea that sometimes knowledge evolves and things change based on that. But they said that they would be open to, because I talked about what the garden club and the town have been doing on public landing, and they were like, oh, well, if their main thing seemed to be like, it's really hard to get rid of that stuff, and that's what Dave Jackson was saying. So they said that if a plan were to come to them of people saying, this is what you should plant instead, that they would be very open to listening to that.
I don't see that happening there.
Well, I am,
Well, I don't see
you know,
that.
barberries is also, one of the other reasons why people don't want to even trim it, it's like tick heaven.
Oh, no kidding.
Ticks love barberries.
There's, almost 30 years ago, this study started out in Yale School of Forestry, and many other places, but that's the first one I saw down in a Mid-Atlantic conference, and there's a direct correlation between the tick
I
populations
say burn them all down then.
and the infestation of barberry, because they're so thorny and because they create
Yeah,
this
nobody
microclimate,
goes
they
in
are
them.
able to overwinter and survive in these habitats.
But that's what makes, I mean, I'm not advocating this now, I don't, you guys know.
Here we go.
But I mean, when you're walking through there, I mean, imagine taking all those down, what it would look like.
It's not all
I think it
barberry
would look
there.
good.
Amen.
I don't know.
I think
If
it
they
would look
wanted,
nice.
they wanted a hedge, there's lots of other options.
I do. I think
That's what they needed, and so
They could be
they're,
replaced with native,
Yeah.
There's a million other
Shrubs,
choices.
if they want shrubs in that park, right?
I like
Just
high bush
would be
blueberries.
nice.
so it's
I
not
love
my
the fact-
area.
No,
exactly.
so, but this
High
is like
bush
an aside conversation
Yeah,
that
like
is
a
now
sub-
spinning out of control.
Yeah.
But
Not gonna be in the-
relevant to conservation and the like, but I am ready, willing, and able to do the additional research that I already know where to get the information, and
For the garden tour?
sit down with, so the garden tour, I think we can plug in, and between 1, 2, 3, 4 of us can,
Is it
Show
hard to do a QR code?
I have absolutely no idea. Remember
No.
I said I am.
Yeah,
I mean, wouldn't
not
it be
useless
good to
when it
like
comes
at
to
at like one of the places that you go to, just have the QR code there?
Yeah.
And then
Maybe
people could-
John would have
Yeah,
People
A little
don't,
sign,
a lot of,
unobtrusive sign somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the box of handouts,
Oh,
and
you
I'm
can do
gonna
that
have all
too.
the things and be the friendly face to like politely tell them why they should cut their burning bush down. That's fine. I am
you
Had this
hate all the,
conversation.
you hate all the classics.
But anyways, I love that the conversation of the Harbor Park and the library and the known invasives or the questionable watch list rugoses, et cetera, came up. And when or if the right time is for myself or anybody, whether representing the district or the Conservation Commission or a citizen at large.
yeah, that's all
I am
mapped,
I
Alice.
mean,
I am
being able to show
happy
you like
to go
what
and
Barb
talk to
did,
them. I have
that was like
decades of
a
You can look
experience
on our
and-
map and
good
basis and
example.
see
Like
the
people
whole
are like,
thing.
oh, that's like something different was done at the public landing. It was done by citizens, and like being able to say, oh, the garden club and the town have collaborated with
I think
to do
that's-
this, and they see it looking good.
Mhm.
It's like, I know you don't have unlimited energy to do everything, but
I'm not an expert. Someone told,
you seem to be.
told Seafair that I was the native plant expert and I should be involved. Like, I'm not an expert.
Who told them that?
I don't know. They seem to think that. But I'm
Oh,
like,
no, I said, talk to Barb, she might be able to help you with
yeah, I said I'd help them, but they keep saying, do you think this would be better than this as a Maine native one? I don't think of Maine natives. I kind of think of, I'm more like Rebecca. It's like it's New England, like they don't consider echinacea as a Maine native, but it's a native of New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Nova Scotia, but not
So
Maine.
that's okay though now, right?
And like, top and not be, what?
Yeah.
I know, it's
think
totally
people don't know
fine.
what the right questions to ask
So,
are though.
exactly.
Like when they say you're a Maine native plant expert or something, they just don't have enough knowledge to ask the question, right? Because you really are kind of an expert.
No,
So
I'm not an expert. I have some knowledge, but I don't know.
I'm still sitting.
You're an expert.
Today, you're going to be, that's it.
And you know how to make
That's-
things
yes,
look
little
really
did you
nice
know.
too. So when you
I
can,
try to do
you
that.
really are very, very good at it.
You're more of an expert than I
Okay.
am. With that stuff.
So do we have anything to talk about in terms of Tree City and Arbor Day? We feel like it's, a far off thing and yet it just, but I also just want to at least plant the seed that we should put it on an agenda or have a plan and figure out how to make it go forward.
Samantha, that's you.
Samantha, I was looking over.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? That's me? All right. What month is Arbor Day? It's in,
Ready.
I know, but there are
We
different
just need
steps.
to
We just want
beat
to
the attendance from this year. That's the
It-
goal.
I'm sorry, it's May or April?
May.
May, okay. Great. Well, I mean, honestly, the application for your status is on, like, there's an online thing and there's really not, it doesn't have to write a book. Update it. And then, yeah, I guess we're gonna do another probably tree planting next May with treats. What else do we need to do?
So I think for the growth award, we had to show, you get points for all these different things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the information I gave to Nancy, so I'll give you that information. I'll ahead of time. I know what to put together now.
Oh, well, maybe what we could ask Samantha to do is, so we have the format that Nancy's been using. And then, but it's not clear whether some of the stuff that Nancy does might be like above and beyond stuff, or might be, so to know what needs to be, like what are the requirements for that report that Nancy does every year?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's all hard copies, what Nancy has, and she
I was thinking
has
that too.
only,
I feel like, didn't we get a scan of it? I feel like we have a scan of that.
I scanned like the binder that she gave us, which I don't know if that, I don't think that was the report that goes to Tree City. I think that was the guide for how to do the article.
Oh, okay. I mean, at some point I saw the report and I was like, anyway, I looked up, you can file your report online and there's literally like a fill in these blanks things. So the one question I have is, I know about the growth award this year. I thought that was a special thing that happens like from time to time. Are we aiming to get a growth award every year? Because you have to do a significantly more each year to get the growth award than what you did last year. So it could get pretty intense pretty fast if we're trying to get the growth award every year.
Not that Nancy knows everything, but she felt like we probably would get another growth award next year if we did another round of 50 trees, but.
Okay, I'll look at the report requirements and the growth award requirements.
I think maybe asking Jan Santerre for the copy of this year's application would be good.
Yes. Yeah, having somebody on the Conservation Commission that's sort of the direct liaison to Jan Santerre and that program.
Right.
So if you could just sort of sort out what we need to do.
Because we don't want to be too far off of what we've already submitted, so I mean, it has to be somewhat, we want to kind of have some.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be in a binder that.
No, we don't have to do it like Nancy did it, but we want to know.
Writing a book.
No, we want to report similarly than she did, because that's the thing about those reports, they have to be somewhat, it's the same, you know what I mean? We have to get.
Okay, so I'm sorry, so how do I get a copy of the report?
So from Jan Santerre, and I can send you her email.
Okay.
And just ask for a copy or scanned copy of Nancy's submission.
Yeah, I think it was really good actually to go to that thing in Augusta, the Maine State, what was the name?
Files Arboretum, and it was the.
Yeah,
Tree City USA.
It gave a better understanding of sort of where we fit in this larger thing, and they had all the, the posters from all these different places that said how many years they've been at Tree City and what the different things were that they were doing, and and Jan was great at explaining it, and it felt very much like, oh, okay, this is the person whose job it is to talk to all these communities about their programs, and and she's really responsive to email and all that stuff.
Yep.
Speaking of that, I mean, we have not the woolly indulgent, but we have the Amaryl ash borer thing, and they're saying for sure it's going to be here. So we have all those identified, in the database somehow.
We need to put the, are those in our database?
They're in our database, but they're part of that old database.
That's what I'm saying.
And we never went back to validating or all of
I
those.
might have a copy of it.
No, we
Well, no,
do,
it's
we sent
online.
it to, but we just need to get that into the,
It's in the system.
Sorry, what
So-
database? What's in a database?
So the
On our
old,
GIS?
the old inventory that Bart Wood did, that has all been put into
No,
the
it
data.
hasn't.
Yeah, it has. It's
We
all.
had
Are
an
you talking about trees, town trees? Is that what you're talking about? Hello? Oh, sorry. I froze. What?
Keith Blizzard or somebody did something with Bell.
Yeah, I helped with that. You're talking about the old town tree inventory. So that's the database, the GIS. Well, it's not a database. We put it in a spreadsheet.
But part of that was the emerald ash borer piece, I think.
no, that was a separate thing that happened before you got here, that we had, the Conservation Commission had an intern.
I thought it was part of it, but if it isn't, we need to.
It's not, I sent it separately, it was on, it was
Bowden-
done on Google
Bowden
Maps.
student.
It was, I can't remember if it was Isabella or Louisa Crane, who worked with Roger Rittmaster and Doug Johnson, and they identified all of the ash trees and the ash trees that should be saved.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is we need to put those on the database,
Okay.
and then we have to come up with a plan to replace those.
We sent those all to, we had a whole meeting about that, we sent them to
Well, that's why
Aaron Weston.
I think they're in the database. I
Maybe
really
he did, Adam.
Is this just the street, did the study include the ashes that are off the street? Because there's quite a lot of them.
I don't know.
And they just
Pretty
took one
big.
down over there. There was this beautiful ash tree and that was not a town tree. And they were taking it down and people were like, why are they taking that down? And somebody said, oh, because of the emerald ash borer.
Did it have it yet?
No.
No.
And it was like, oh my gosh, if
It's
we could have
really-
gotten together and
Don't
like,
tell people.
right.
Just take them down.
Because they could be treated, we should be identifying the specimen trees they did identify the specimen trees that should
To
be saved.
save.
Yeah.
So we probably need to come up with a plan to have, because Castine, they talked about this at the meeting, Castine has the elm trees that they've been treating for
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
And we could do the same thing with some of the
So
ash
here's
trees,
this-
some certain specimens. Kind of got sidetracked here, but that's kind of an important thing that we need to probably put on our radar, is to identify these trees
It's really close now.
and have a transition plan for when this stuff comes here, because we don't want to be tackling this all at once.
I mean, if, was Doug part of the ash research?
I don't
Yeah, he
know.
helped, this intern do it. She wrote a whole report.
Yeah, I've
Oh,
got
look,
a
it's-
copy of it.
Right there.
So I don't know if this is what I had sent I sent it to you and Aaron Weston
Aaron?
back in January of 2022.
So.
I don't know if they put that in or not, but
What would we do, what do you think is a good plan for, like, when this emerald ash board does get here? Do we wanna try and preemptively remove trees and replant others, or do we wanna wait until they're
I
attacked?
think
or-
we need to know what's been done in other towns.
Okay, so we need to look that
A lot
up.
of towns.
no, they wrote a whole report about it, about what we should do. We were the first ones in the state to do it, and there's a
Okay.
whole document that goes along with this. That,
Can you send it?
Can you send it to us?
Yeah.
Can you send it to all of us?
Sure. Right after I find it.
Okay.
Because this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is this a iTree inventory? No, eco inventory report? No,
No.
wrong Camden.
Yeah, I didn't mean to hijack the meeting on trees again. But.
Yeah.
It was done in
Probably a separate
2017.
question, too. How do they get treated?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Preemptively.
For the
Apparently it's kind of
Hours
expensive.
to visit,
I have
yeah.
no idea. No idea. I don't either.
I think I heard, was that the one they were talking about, that was pretty expensive treatment?
I thought that was the,
Or was that the other one?
the elm trees in
The elm?
Castine.
Yeah, it's Cassia.
Yeah. I mean, they have a huge, huge budget. Treating those trees. But they have trees like
Oh, yeah,
they're
here it is.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
There's a whole article about this in 2018 in the Courier Gazette, and how Camden and the Camden Conservation Commission are working on a plan to, a response plan to protect the trees. And it's just about the town-owned and parks and right-of-way trees, I guess. And I guess the nearby residential districts by Louisa Crane. Yeah. Huh. So we should look at her response plan and see if that makes sense to start. I don't know if it hasn't been implemented, but maybe that would make sense to start doing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, she did this when she was in college as an intern.
Instead of thinking something new up, we probably ought to do this one.
So here's the
Could go on
report.
our webpage.
Right.
Right,
MLS
that'd be
for it.
super relevant.
Mhm.
Sure would.
It might be there, I've seen it somewhere.
It probably is.
Probably
there
is,
somewhere.
but sometimes it's nice.
Right there, biological and insecticides, 11.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 36-page report.
That's
She did-
impressive.
It's all done. So we don't have to do anything, we just have to read it.
We just all have to read it.
Implement.
I'll email it to everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's on the website.
All right, so we have 5 minutes to wrap up this meeting.
I've seen it somewhere
and,
posted, I don't know where else it would be.
Allow Allison an hour to regroup before the next one.
I did see that in that article, it said there's a consensus, there's a consensus among the planning board that there should be no new piers in the outer and coastal harbor.
Yeah.
It would be maybe good, just to write a little thing saying that the Conservation Commission is supportive. I mean, there must have been, it's nice to read.
Do we want to try to set a date for stormwater mapping as we attempted to do in April, May, when it was like stormy?
And then, we had the Seafair and other events going on, so.
So does it have to be done at a certain time?
Well, the
Like after a storm?
suggestion was that we were gonna try to do the shore, the outlets, I guess. I'll do the shoreline, the harbor, the coastal shoreline, rather. We have other shorelines, but the coastal shoreline, and that's why I brought tide charts.
What's the lowest tide we have?
What happened, last time I read a tide chart, let's see, the lowest tide, so by feet. Here, you tell me what the.
Why do we want that? It's not a,
She's the tide
it's not a
master.
month of super low tide or super high tide.
So we don't have anything really super low right now?
Why do you want that?
So that'd be a good time to go out when it's really super low, because then you can walk all along the edge, because you'd have a lot more room and a lot more time, right?
It's a hard walk on some of those rocks.
Oh, yeah, and.
So if you can walk out further though, you're on flat.
Yeah, no, that's why.
Yeah.
It's slippery with seaweed usually.
Right, you can get out beyond the rocks a little bit and walk along the edge a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason I
Well,
would
like
think.
July 6th is a minus 1.5.
Oh, that would be good.
July
And
5th is a
that's
minus
the lowest,
1.5.
that's the.
That would be a good time to try to like walk the whole shoreline.
That would be, you know what, we should just do that. We should just walk the
Anyway,
shoreline. Yeah,
Okay, what time?
just to walk the shoreline on a super low tide.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
mean
And then we can
all
call
around
We could
Linda.
invite the planning board.
We could call Linda
It's a
too.
long way.
What time?
From where
For
to
part
where?
of it. How about
From
7 o'clock in the
Rockport
morning.
to Lincolnville. No.
7 o'clock? Is 7 o'clock too early?
6:59 a.m. and 7:07.
It's a good time, actually. It really is.
That would be pretty fun to do a sunrise walk along the.
Sun up enough for
July
I would-
5th, 6th, 7th.
I'll put you in a
No.
buggy.
afternoon.
Yeah,
Probably not.
We'll bring your carriage and I'll put you in and push you around.
I mean, the 5th isn't gonna work for me, I've
Is
got
the-
family that'll be
You mean
still.
the objective is to look at the storm water drains? Find
Yeah,
out where
there's
they
Got
are?
a
Look at the
little mission
shoreline.
creep going on here, but,
We could brainstorm as we walk.
You want to make it, what time on the
Collect
6th?
shells, broken little pieces of
this-
glass, sea glass and
sixth
shells, so
is-
we can make decorations.
7:52
Do a
a.m.
collage.
If we did it on the 6th, all of us,
Do that.
more people
Like
could
that.
go, and it would be going at, we'd probably go like at 7:30 or 8.
perfect.
Sounds like a movie
How about
by
the
that
6th?
famous Italian director whose name
So
escapes me.
7:30
I
a.m.
wouldn't even know if you brought it up, Edie, so you could
On
say
the
anything
6th.
you
On the
want.
6th.
No, I can't.
Where do we
Alan
want,
Scorsese?
Yeah, where we meet,
No, way
Lake Beach?
before,
For the
1950s.
harbor.
Lake Beach
So
would probably
July
be
6th,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lake Beach.
Everybody's gonna be, yeah.
and then walk towards town?
So it's Tuesday.
Well, we might want to try to go the other way a little bit too, but yeah, we have to go one way.
It's treacherous walking on those seaweed covered.
Well, no, but the tide will be out and you won't have the seaweed, that's the thing.
Everybody brings sticks.
You want boots, because you'll be kind of in the muddy sand.
All right, well, I've walked.
And bring a walking stick.
It is challenging to get from Lake Beach around the
Well,
Watson Pier, but
we could try.
Yeah, we'll
we just
just,
might not be able to get back.
well, we'll put a vehicle at the other end.
Which really
Well,
exemplifies
I'm down
the
anyway,
issue
I don't know.
too with the.
So
Right,
to look
if
for
we get
storm
stuck.
drains.
Swim
It-
back.
If we're not too large of a group, I can, we can use the right of way. Cause I'm just on the other side of that part that pops out from Lake Beach, and we can use my right of way to walk down there. If we want to walk along the other direction.
Yes, we do.
So that's coming right
No
up.
drones.
But I like the idea of starting at Lake Beach.
So it's July, so
July 6th is at 7:30.
if we had
So that's
and whoever can come,
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
hopefully the weather's cooperative.
I bet it'll be perfect.
It should be based on the way it's been
Okay,
raining.
well, I feel like
Crazy
that
for
was,
the last
that was
month and a
enough
half.
to get something on the calendar, so I feel like
All right,
that's a
so-
success.
Good job, Rebecca.
What was that date again?
The
Thursday,
6th.
July
Sixth.
6th at
7 a.m.?
7:30 a.m.
7:30.
And, Lake Beach was the
Yes.
consensus? Okay,
Yeah.
just checking.
At 7:30?
I'll bring bagels.
And, we'll hold you to that. And then,
And we're gonna go in at Lake Beach, we're gonna park at Lake Beach, is that
Yeah.
Samantha?
Okay,
I'm just-
Maybe we should see if there's a couple harbor committee members or planning board members that want to join us.
That's a good idea.
We could just.
and the tag will,
Yeah.
so the tag will have to boogie too, because it's.
Well, we'll
I
just
know.
leave
Well,
when it
high
starts coming
tide's at
in.
8, so
If we have to
can
be
start.
rescued, then that'll be like a good way to show some of the issues.
That would be
Publicity.
cool.
Of the, right, of public access, they started at one public
Well, maybe
access
we
point
could-
and they were trapped in between.
SOS on the beach.
Oh my gosh.
Armored
That sounds
wall,
terrible. All
seawalls
right, so
that
we're
you couldn't
over
hike
time,
up.
but I wanna just kind of circle back here, folks.
Oh,
This is
Getting
like
off
a-
track.
This is gonna be like a movie.
I know, huh?
That's what
I
we
was
should be
saying.
I'll bring the drone.
Desika movies, just like this.
Oh, Victoria.
Wait, what's the last
In the
thing?
interest of time, I want to just adjourn and state that the formal meeting is scheduled for July 26th from 12 to 2, and I'll just say that I may or may not be.
Oh, you're gonna be here.
We shall see.
Does anybody want City USA hat?
I think Brian should have that, considering he's taking on the,
It
yeah.
might be too small.
I'm not a hat guy.
Looks a little-
Seriously.
Old school.
Hey, Rebecca, are you serious that you might not be able to be there on the 26th?
I will confirm over the next week or
1932.
two, but
It does look like
I need
it's
to make a
been
trip
around.
to Vermont, and right now, that week is
I think that's
looking
a
like
good
the one that
comparison.
aligns with professional, you know. with-
Okay. I just so you have a heads up, I am having surgery on the 25th, so I think I'll be able to Zoom into the meeting on the 26th, but I just won't be in a position to step in if you're not able to be there, so I just want you to be aware.
Okay.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
So unless there is further business, I'm gonna suggest we call this meeting, oops.
I just wanted to ask, the Watershed School made these really nice handouts. Is that something we would want to make use of? That I must have picked up from Watershed School table at the Seafair. And this one is flooding in Camden, and this is drought in mid-coast Maine, and they're really nicely done.
Well, we
Can I
can
see them and maybe scan them and put in part of minutes?
Excuse me, I can never understand what you say.
Can I see them and maybe I could get them scanned?
Please.
And put
I
them part
wanted
of
to
the
go
minutes.
talk to them about it,
We
but of course
have
they
digital
closed.
versions too, but,
You do?
yeah, because I worked with them to make those. Actually, Dave did too, remember how we went and talked to them about putting
Really
in Camden?
nice.
And then-
Oh, that's what came out of it?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh.
Again, another resource for this.
There's
future
resources
There you
all
go,
over that
for our
we
We don't have to
website.
reinvent the wheel, we just need to.
Right, have all
Organize
that
it.
It's all in
stuff.
one place.
Organize it.
Yeah.
Cool, okay. So after that, seeing no other business, I call this meeting to a close. Thank you.
This is why I spend all my time like
Thank you.
researching old Camden Herald articles, because I usually find something
Oh,
like,
yeah,
You know,
that's.
you're gonna be
they had
right
this
up,
all
right in
figured
the
out.
element of that.
But we've forgotten, and it's only been 7 years.
We'll be able to
Yeah,
catch
at
stuff and
least
throw it
you
in
know
there.
how
and-
Well, this
Get
is
in
funny,
there
'cause,
and do
Wayne
it,
came
and
over
Ken
and I
does
was-
too.
I was working with them.
It's a really
I
low
have
quality
four
archive,
I know, you
though,
told
like,
me.
it should be done.
That's why I said you're gonna be
But I
right
have,
They've
now.
like,
actually
the
lost a
four
lot of
for a
stuff.
reason,
Yeah.
Because the critters don't like
It's
each
too bad the Camden
other.
Herald
Right,
itself
Right,
had-
there's ones that
they
don't
had-
like to, but,
yeah.
well, you'll be able to help them with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a
like
hearing aid,
starfish.
but I'm
You
not
know
sure
what
it's gonna
the most
We're not.
predatory creature is?
hold on.
Crab, green crab.
Starfish.
Really, starfish?
Yep.
They just kind of grab things and eat them?
I had a little tautog, for example,